Hey friends, this is Miss Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead, and today we're putting the quilt on the frame, and you wanted to see it, so let's do it. Here's my safety pins. Now folks, I've never actually learned how to do this. I just do it the way it works. Here is the finished quilt top. Isn't it beautiful? That goes on last with the batting. First thing to go on is the backing. Here's a closer look at the fabric I'm using for the backing. When you order fabric, okay, for a quilt, the backing takes I ordered this a long time ago. I forgot that I ordered 6 yards so that I could rip it in half and sew it down the center with a seam. Now, I'm going to do my absolute best to show you how to do this. All right, we put the right side, the side with the pattern, down. I'll make sure I've got my seam. This is pretty much square now, so it really doesn't matter which way the seam goes. I just kind of want it down the center. Now, the backing's too long, so I'm going to pull it all the way over. Not too long, it's too wide. So now, I'm going to pull it over. And I'm going to snip it just on the inside. And then I'm ripping off the end piece. That makes it too wide. Make sure you do it with the grain, folks, or you'll rip at an angle and then you've wasted fabric. Maybe I may have made it too. Let's just make sure that this is going to fit. Yes, it is. Thank you. People do this with a lot of complicated measuring and stuff, folks. I can't. So, what I'm going to do, now I got to remember how I pin this. After I dump my safety pins all over the floor, this is what I've done. Okay? Let's move this back so that you can see that this is my leader cloth that has been stapled all across my backing board. And now I'm just going to start winding it up. Oh, I missed a pin. I've pinned the leader cloth to the back over top. And now we're just going to start rolling it up. Now this looks a little crooked, so I'm going to pull this up a little bit. You want your leader cloth and your backing to match all the way down the length. This is why some people measure. But the truth is, there goes another safety pin on the floor. If you don't get this correct all the way across, make sure you don't pin it to the second leader cloth on the second post. Then it's not going to wind up properly. So you want this as straight as possible. I'm just going to wind this all up. And I'm going to keep tugging until it is straight. You don't want any wrinkles in your backing, and you want it to be straight as possible. Otherwise, it's going to go on crooked, and then you're going to have issues down the road. drop this down here. Looks good and straight. Okay. Well, not really, but let's hope I have enough. I have a little bit. You really, really want your fabric to be straight as possible. Okay, I've got my batting stretch out over the next rail, and I'm just going to drop, I'm going to bring it up like this so that it's even all the way across, and then we're going to drape our quilt top over it. Now I'm going to leave some room for the batting. I'll show you in a minute. Now I should roll the batting up on this, but it's actually a real pain in the butt for me. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I have rolled up the leader cloth for my top and batting. And I've put safety pins all along here so that I could just grab them as I went. And I've left enough leader of the batting so that I can get it as straight as possible. Getting these things square is the biggest challenge. And I'm just going to go along and pin it as straight as I possibly can to the second leader cloth. Right side up, of course. And then I'm going to look at it, and as I go, if I find anything crooked, then I will fix it. This is a heavy job for me, folks. This takes me all day to get this organized because it's a lot of bending and standing and work. But once it's on here, the fun starts, and that's the quilting. Okay, so now I've got this as straight as I possibly can, and I'm just going to start rolling up. Make sure our backing is down. Rolling up our top and our batting. And I'm going to put this into lock so that it doesn't unroll on me. And I'm just going to tug and straighten as I go. Okay, now I'm just going to cut this batting off, leaving it about a 2-inch leader on here. You know what, folks? I think the hardest part of making a quilt is getting it on the frame. We've unrolled our backing to a bit. So now I'm going to unroll my leader cloth here, and I'm going to bring this down a little bit, lock it back, and we're going to bring our backing up to the leader cloth. And we're going to pin our backing to the edge of our leader cloth. And I'm going to do that all the way across, and then I'm going to bring this down. Because trying to bring them all three down at the same time can be difficult. Just make sure everything is as straight and wound up as it should be. And I'm feeling underneath. But as you can see, as this rolls, the backing is going to be visible. Now I'm pinning, my bottom thing's rolled up, so I'm just pinning this straight to all the rolled up fabric on this board. Just because, see, one bit's a little bit longer, but it was that way at the other end. That's why it's really important to get your square fabric, your fabric as square as you can onto this frame. Measure, yes, but I just kind of wing it. My quilts will never be masterpieces of art, but that's okay. Because the people that get them love them and use them. If they were an art piece, nobody would use them. These are meant to be used. This may not be the correct way to do this, folks, but this is the easiest way for me to do it. That works for me. And I'm saving that extra piece of fabric that I tore off because I have a feeling when I get to the other end, it's going to need it. So now I'm going to unroll this and bring it as close as I can to the backing, the edge of the backing, and I'm going to pin this in place here. I like to pin across seams because when you're stretching a quilt onto a frame, you're literally stretching it. Okay, for all intents and purposes, this is now on the frame. And I can see in the camera how we can see the patterns. Now I'm just going to drop these locks into place and I'm going to roll it back. Now I don't know how I did this the last time, but this is the way it made sense this time. As you see, there's a gap here that doesn't belong here, and that's because I put the batting and the backing on the wrong rails. They should be the opposite way around. Okay, folks, sorry I couldn't film it. But it took 3 pairs of hands, and well, we all know how Briar feels about being on camera. So here is how it's supposed to go. What we did is we ended up taking the nuts off and moving this rail to this position because it was here, and then bringing this one over, and now we don't have a space in between, and I can start quilting. This is the Miss Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying, yes, it's quilting season, and pears and carrots and all kinds of fun stuff. Take care. God bless.